In the world of backwoods bootlegging, every jar of moonshine tells a story, some of survival, some of legacy, and others of pure, rebellious creativity. On a recent episode of Moonshiners, Master Distiller, that renegade spirit came to life in an unexpected and mesmerizing way when seasoned moonshiner Eli Blue Carson stepped up to the still with a bold idea: a blue corn whiskey. A recipe steeped in tradition, innovation, and wild Appalachian ingenuity. This wasn't just another run. It was a statement. People say moonshine's all about white lightning and burn-your-throat liquor, Eli told the camera with a grin. But I say it can be more. It can be complex, smooth, and hell, it can even be blue. And just like that, a legend was born. New shade of tradition blue corn isn't new, it's ancient. Originally cultivated by the Hopi and other indigenous peoples of the American Southwest, blue corn has long been revered for its robust flavor and unique mineral richness. Unlike the standard yellow or white varieties, blue corn carries earthy tones, a subtle sweetness, and a deep, nutty backbone. For Eli, who grew up in the Appalachian Hills where corn is king and tradition runs deep, the decision to work with blue corn was more than just a gimmick. It was a tribute to a forgotten flavor profile. Everyone's so stuck on yellow dent corn and sugar mash, he said. But I remember my granddaddy used to talk about this old man who came through town once with a jar of deep-colored whiskey. He said it smelled like sweet smoke and tasted like toasted nuts and honey. I never forgot that. Ellie's inspiration led him on a multi-year mission to perfect the recipe, and the Master Distiller competition was the perfect stage to reveal it. The mash, where the magic begins. The foundation of any whiskey lies in its mash. Ellie's blue corn mash was a sight to behold. Rich purple hues swirling through warm water like an Appalachian sunset. Along with the blue corn, he included a touch of malted barley for enzyme activity and complexity, and a pinch of smoked cherrywood malt to lend a whisper of sweet campfire smoke. What I love about blue corn is how it soaks up the water and gives you this creamy texture, Eli explained. It's almost like making a porridge at first, but once it breaks down, that starch turns into sugar, and that's where the party starts. As the mash boiled and stirred in the open-air stillhouse, the aroma turned heads. Judges and competitors alike couldn't help but peek over to see what Eli was cooking up. The scent was rich, warm vanilla, cracked pepper, hints of maple, and a whisper of smoke. Judge Mark Ramsey leaned in and said, "That don't smell like any corn whiskey I've ever had." He might just be onto something. The fermentation. Nature takes the wheelie didn't rush his fermentation. While the other contestants were pushing their mash to bubble over in record time, Eli took a slower approach, letting the yeast naturally ferment the sugars over 5 days prior to the competition, ensuring it had time to develop depth and character. "I used a wild yeast strain I've been keeping alive for about 3 years, he explained. "It's got a funky backbone, but once it settles, it throws off these beautiful notes of ripe fruit and spice." That wild yeast, paired with the rich sugars from the blue corn, created a wash that tasted more like a dark soda ale than your typical shine base. When asked for a taste, the judges were impressed by its complexity. Tart cherry, dark chocolate, and soft caramel tones floated through every sip. The distillation. Sharp cuts and bold moves come distillation day, Eli was all business. His copper pot still, nicknamed the Queen, had been rebuilt 3 times over the years and bore the scars of every fire she'd survived. With the heat slowly rising, the heads began to come off, sharp and solventy as always. Eli discarded them with care. "Ain't no sense keeping poison in your shine," he muttered, pouring them out into a separate jar. As he made the hot cuts, his focus sharpened. Every drip from the spout was met with a sniff, a swirl, and a taste. He was aiming for a precise balance, not too light, not too oily, and with that signature blue corn richness dancing on the tongue. When the final jar was capped, Eli held it to the sunlight. The clear spirit shimmered like crystal, but with a faint bluish hue from the corn oils. "It's like bottled Appalachian moonlight," he whispered. "The aging twist. Charred oak meets wild honey, though most master distiller runs go unaged." Eli brought a surprise. He had prepared an aged sample using small, heavily charred American oak spirals soaked in wild mountain honey. "I gave it a month in the jar," he explained. "Not much, but enough to round out the edges and let the blue corn speak even louder." The result? A soft golden color, sweet on the nose, and remarkably smooth. Judges were floored. The tasting notes read like a gourmet honeycomb, roasted pecans, vanilla, toasted cornflakes, and a smoky finish that lingered like a summer campfire. The final verdict: when the judges finally delivered their decision, it was almost no contest. Eli's blue corn whiskey had stolen the show. What started as a regional oddity turned into a benchmark for what craft moonshine could become. "Eli, you didn't just bring us whiskey. You brought us history, passion, and dang good flavor," Judge Tim Smith said. "This is what Master Distiller is all about." Eli tipped his dusty hat and gave a humble nod. "Just trying to do my granddaddy proud." The aftermath. A Star is Born. After the episode aired, demand for Eli's blue corn whiskey skyrocketed. Calls flooded in from distilleries looking to collaborate. Microbreweries wanted to buy his yeast strain. Craft bars from Nashville to Brooklyn were begging for even a single bottle. But Eli stayed grounded. "I ain't in this for fame," he told a reporter. "I'm in it to make spirits that make people feel something. If they taste my whiskey, and it takes them somewhere, back to their roots, back to a memory, that's all I need." Still, the fans wanted more. Rumors began swirling that Eli was planning a limited release, using traditional clay aging vessels and locally sourced mountain spring water to create a line of authentic, heritage-style blue corn whiskey. He didn't confirm or deny, just winked and said, "You'll know when it's ready." Why blue corn might be the future of craft whiskey. Eli's success isn't just a one-off. It signals a broader shift in the craft spirits world, a hunger for flavor, story, and uniqueness. Blue corn, with its complex sugar profile and deep earthy notes, might just be the next big thing. Experimental distilleries in Arizona, New Mexico, and even Kentucky are playing with it, hoping to strike the same balance that Eli found. But as Judge Tickle said, you can't fake hot. And Eli's shine has more heart than a Sunday sermon. Final sip in the age of high-tech distilling and soulless, mass-produced spirits, Eli Blue, Carson's Blue Corn Whiskey, is a reminder of what whiskey should be. Bold, personal, rooted in place and memory. So if you ever find yourself in the hills of Appalachia and you hear a soft hum coming from an old copper still, follow your nose. You might just find a jar of moonlight-tinted whiskey and a moonshiner named Eli ready to pour you a sip of the blue magic. Under the glare of Appalachian sun and the hum of stills buried deep in the hills, a legend is quietly crafting what some are calling the most tantalizing spirit to hit the backwoods in a generation: blue corn whiskey. On the hit Discovery Channel series Moonshiners, master distiller, master artisan, and moonshine veteran Jed Sparks McAllister has done the unthinkable, turned a humble heritage grain into a bold, unforgettable whiskey that's taking the backwoods and the barrooms by storm. This isn't just another episode of Master Distiller. This is a full-blown revolution in the world of craft spirits. From rebellion to refined, the evolution of Moonshine, once a symbol of defiance, distilled under the cover of night to evade the law, has found a new face in the hands of master distillers like Sparks. A third-generation moonshiner born and bred in the Smoky Mountains, Jed knows the difference between making liquor and making legendary liquor. And in the most recent challenge on Master Distiller, he did just that, with an experimental twist that left even the toughest judges wide-eyed and nodding. The moment I smelled that mash bubbling, I knew we had something special. Sparks says, still grinning days after the episode aired. Blue corn ain't just for tortillas no more. It's for sipping, savoring, and remembering. The inspiration. A grain with Sul blue corn isn't your average moonshine grain. It's an heirloom variety, grown in pockets across the Southwest and cherished for its bold color and rich, nutty flavor. While white or yellow corn is the standard base for most whiskey, blue corn offers something deeper, both in taste and in tradition. My granddaddy used to say, "You want a spirit with soul. Start with something ancient," Sparks recalls. So I took that to heart. He spent months sourcing the perfect batch of blue corn from a Navajo cooperative in New Mexico, ensuring not just top quality, but a story steeped in culture and connection. Those farmers, they treat their corn like gold. And they should. It's special. You taste it, and it don't just hit your tongue. It hits your spirit. The distilling process. Secrets from the still-so, what goes into turning this jewel-toned grain into a whiskey worthy of a master distiller title? Well, I ain't gonna give away all my secrets, Sparks laughs, but I can tell you it starts with a deep, slow cook. Unlike regular corn, blue corn takes longer to break down its starches. Sparks grains the kernels coarsely, then slow cooks them over low heat, coaxing out every ounce of natural sweetness. Once mashed.